How do you find out whether you're overtrained? Now, a lot of people use the term overtrained, overtraining, overtraining syndrome, and actually in the data and in the research, it's very, very difficult to become overtrained. The terminology is overreach. So overtraining is where an athlete can end up being quite ill. This might be acutely ill or chronically ill as well, chronically fatigued. So using the term overtraining, we try and avoid at Boxing Science. What we say is overreaching or being fatigued during training camp. And there's a few different ways that you can test whether an athlete is overreaching. Some of this comes at a cost, so might be quite confusing. Stuff like heart rate variability or using aura rings and stuff like that. And this can be quite daunting. However, at Boxing Science, we use some quite simple and straightforward ways on how to monitor our athletes on a day-to-day basis. The first one being session day wellness. We get them to score a rating of 1 to 5 on their energy levels, sleep quality, muscle soreness, and their readiness to train. And this is a rating from 1 to 5. And we can look at the overall score from these four questions, for scales. And also we can see what is causing that low score, whether it's sleep quality, whether it's muscle soreness, and then we can make some adjustments to their training. We compare that to their average as well. So there's some athletes that'll be 5 out of 5 and really positive and wanting to train. And there'll be some athletes that are around about a 3 or 3.5 out of 5 on a daily basis. So if they hit 3 or maybe a 2.5, they're just quite close out from their standard deviation. Whereas like if an athlete was hitting 2 and they're normally putting 5, then we'd do something about it. So yeah, it's very individualized to each athlete, but it gives you a good indication of how your athlete is feeling on a day-to-day basis. We can also use jump assessments. So we use counter movement jump, squat jump. We use RSI as well. And if an athlete is within 5%, not within 5% of what they're normally hitting, we think that's okay. If they're reduced performance by 5%, we may take a step back from that session. So we might reduce the loads, or might just do mobility, or not push them too hard on the conditioning. Might swap their high intensity interval training for an active recovery session. Also, if an athlete is finding it quite hard to hit the red zone, so the heart rate isn't responding to the speeds and intensity and the rate of perceived exertion that an athlete is giving, that's a sign of overtraining. So if an athlete is hitting the same speeds as they were the week before, not hitting above 90% the heart rate, or the heart rate significantly reduced, but their RPE is about a 9 or 10 out of 10, that shows that that athlete is slightly overreached and maybe needs to cut the session short, or give them a few days off or something like that. I'm sorry that I can't give you a true black and white answer. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but hopefully it's given you a few different ideas on how to monitor your athlete's wellness, their performance, and also see whether they're overreaching during training camp.